Growing Deer field event is one of the most exciting things we do all year long. We've held this event for more than 5 years, but we knew the one this year would be extra special. We started registration in May and it sold out quickly. So quick that I ended up saying yes to about 60 additional people. We knew it'd be a full house, but great days to come. If you're not familiar with this event, it's a time when we bring a lot of people in and share all our hunting and food plot strategies, as well as all our pro staff and partners. There's a lot of people giving and sharing information. It's a great time to tune up before deer season. Friday morning, Adam had all the pro staff in for a camera school. They were able to actually go out, put the stands on trees, set some cameras up, refine our techniques before season starts. We had several events that afternoon, including the ever-popular archery shoot put on by Morrell Targets. We had a 3D range and also several targets set up for guys to try bows and check out their pins at various yardages.
Growing Deer TV is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops, also by Reconics, Trophy Rock, Eagle Seed, Nikon, Winchester, Scent Master, Dead Downwind, Antler Dirt, Lacrosse Footwear, Whitetail Properties, Blood Sport Arrows, Outdoor Edge 9, Flatwood Natives, Morrell Targets, Caldwell, Hooks Custom Calls, Montana Decoy, Summit Tree Stands, Drake Non-Typical Clothing, House Lubricator Products, LEM Game Processing, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, Redneck Hunting Blinds.
It was hot Friday afternoon, but Saturday morning started off totally different with fog and a light mist. Our tree plot was our first stop. The boys from Flatwood Natives explained what we'd done in the past and shared some techniques to plant trees to ensure their survival.
Flatwood Natives grows healthy trees for hunters. It's not just planting trees in your backyard, it's designing and landscaping tree plots so that you can hunt around. Go to our website, look at our species that you may be interested in, and each one of those will have a hardiness zone. If you haven't tested your soil, you're really making a mistake. Always start with that. Diversity is the key. The more diverse your species are, the longer drop period your food source is going to be on the ground. It's important to note too, when you're setting your tree in your hole, that you don't want the tree too deep. It's going to settle a little bit. Depending on your soil type, your tree is going to settle. So you want to try to raise it up, I'd say about 1 inch above the surface. That's going to, after your first couple rains, it's going to settle down where it wants to be. If you get it too deep, it's just going to be too wet and it's going to kill the tree. One of the things that Keelan's adding right now is a product, it's a stock absorber, it's a moisture retainer product. Basically all that's doing is holding moisture for a longer period of time. So if you're like us and you can't get to your farms very often, doesn't mean you can't put a tree plot in the ground and expect it to live or not live. Use these products because they're just going to help survival rates. The next step is watering the tree. Probably the most important step you can take. That's going to aid in getting rid of a lot of the air pockets that were in the soil, especially with rocky soil like it is here, that you're real susceptible to air pockets. You don't want any air touching the root system. The next thing we're going to do before we put the weed mat on is we're going to use a slow release fertilizer pack. So what we recommend, Keelan's going to drop it in, just set it about 4 or 5 inches away from the base of the tree and bury it about 1 inch under the surface. Also, obviously, the weed mat is to keep the weeds from growing, so it's going to allow your tree's root system to absorb all the available nutrients in the ground and they're not going to the grasses and the weeds that are surrounding. Tree tube does a couple things. We call it a growth protection tube, so it's going to promote upward growth at a faster rate. If you do know prevailing wind, try to put your stake on the prevailing wind side of the tube. It's just going to help the process.
There was a lot of great questions and answers from the attendees and the boys from Flatwood Natives. After we finished that discussion, we moved up the hill to where professional trapper Clint Carey shared some of his coyote catching techniques.
When I make my sets, I try to cause as much intrigue as possible. Very rarely will I ever have a dirt hole that's just a hole with a bait in the back. I'll have bait in one, lure in one. You can take a piece of rebar here and just kind of hammer it in the ground to the side and put a piece of lure in that hole. And what you're wanting to do is get as much foot movement from a coyote as possible. The pan of this trap is right here. I broke up this pattern just by tearing grass, clippings, and sticking them right through the jaws of this trap in places. You know, you wouldn't step on something that looked totally unnatural and different from everything else.
Offset it a little bit, so.
Like I said, I don't care. Most of mine, I have no idea where it's at, really. Here, I kind of dig to where the rock tells me to go. You'll start digging and you pull out a rock this big and I need to move it over here. So, like I say, that's why I'll add holes, I'll add bait in other places. And that's the main thing, if you don't take anything else away, is when this trap is in the hole, you want to touch all four corners, you want to touch the levers, and you don't want that trap doing this or that. You want it what's called bedded solid, almost like a mold that I'm cutting here in the dirt. I'm gonna sit this trap in and it's not gonna move. This is a drag connected to chain. You can set that trap, cover this drag up out here in the weeds. I'm just throwing it down. You would have it connected. And the beautiful thing about that is that you catch your coyote. He takes off and gets tangled up somewhere out there. You have no work to do other than what I just then done. You've already got your trap bed there. He didn't tear up anything. He's caught over there. You go over there, dispatch your coyote, bring your trap back, and just cover it back up, basically. It's a time saver. If you don't want to use the drags and you've got fences around, this is just 1/8" cable. You do the same thing, same principle. Most of the time the coyote is over there somewhere and your set's still intact and good shape.
Do you always wear gloves when you're setting those your traps?
I do. It feels a lot better when you get caught. And one very important thing, multiple odors always for coyotes. The hardest thing to do is stop a coyote. And then what I'll do is just take some kind of something and spread it out there next to the travel way. And I'm sorry?
What is that?
That's our coyote chum. It's just got a good odor to it. And the coyotes, when he runs by here, he's gonna stop. No matter what the wind's doing, you're at least stopping him and giving yourself a good chance of getting him over here.
What do you use for bait?
We've got a beaver meat bait we use. There's a lot of good baits. Deer meat's an excellent bait. Any meat product's a good bait, really. I hadn't found anything that wasn't. Our adult coyote catches went up considerably since we started throwing stuff out to stop them. It's kind of like me going down the interstate. It takes a lot to make me stop. Just this right here, if I'm traveling, I'm not stopping. I've got my mind on something. Coyotes are the same. So you got to give him something to build interest and intrigue. If you're coon trapping when I'm still in time, Duke DPs. You just set it, stick it in the ground, yeah, and give it a little twist to lock it in, and you will catch coons right there. Same principle, throw some free bites out there, and this is a good spot for coons too. I bet you can catch a coon right there on that corner, tonight probably.
Trapping can be a critical management technique. In many areas, fur prices are way down, therefore predator populations are way up and out of balance with prey populations. With Clint's technique, landowners can work to bring those populations back in balance. I've taken an increment bore through most of these post oaks and white oaks here, and I did it about 7 years ago, and that time they were all about 204 years old. Count the rings with the microscope, 204. Now these trees are small compared to where a lot of y'all live for that age because we're really poor soil. Remember, soil is antlers. There's been one Pope and Young and never any Boone and Crockett's East County. Any way you measure it, this is really poor soil. We come through with chainsaws. This is too steep and too many little 2-foot bluffs and 5-foot bluffs and cut thousands and thousands of trees. Over approximately 800 acres of my property here and in Cedar Glades. And then we let it get good and dry. We drop a match and all this beautiful native vegetation, not just the saplings, I don't want those, they're just part of it. All the beautiful vegetation. This is literally a cover and food plot right in the forest. This is what forest should look like. There's legumes, and I see some legumes right here for quail, for deer. Awesome turkey nesting. Obviously they can hide, they can nest. Predators will find them as well and get out here and bug. This has had 2 fires in the last 7 months. Maybe 8, 9 months, I forgot it's August. 2 fires. Still producing acorns. You don't need a lot of trees to make acorns, right? I wish my deer never ate an acorn. Never, never. They're low quality food and make deer very tough to pattern. I like acorns if you're in western Kansas, there's like 1 tree per section. Then you know where to hunt.
Do you incorporate any commercial tree harvest to help do your savannas?
I don't have any timber value. This is some of the best trees on the whole property, literally. You'll see that as we ride through. So I do on other client land. On my place, I don't have any timber value. We cut it and let it turn to dirt. I wish I could, but I just don't have the value here.
Ideally, on this place, how much of it would you like to see in Savannah, percentage-wise?
Oh gosh, 70, 80, 90. I mean, outside my bedding areas and where I don't have, let me rephrase that. In the timbered areas, I'd like to see 70, 80, 90. This is tremendous habitat, much better than tree. Much better. My objective is wildlife, so for my goals and objectives.
Grant, now that you've got it this way, about how often do you think you'll have to maintain?
I ideally would like to burn every time the conditions are right. So if we could burn every 2 years, I would do it. We just have so much land in so few days. We get, I'm gonna say, depending on the year, 5 to 15 days that we can burn. One more question, Mr. Shields. I'm sorry.
Can you use chemicals to control any of this?
You could. I light fire. I mean, I'm not chemical phobic at all. I use herbicides and chemicals all the time, but where I don't have to, I don't want to use them. Our next stop was at one of our food plots, planted with forage soybeans. And there's no one on the planet more qualified to talk about soybeans than Brad Doyle. Both Brad and his wife did their PhDs on soybeans.
We're not going to grow this for an agricultural crop. We would grow a smaller stature soybean that would mature earlier, easier to harvest. For Grant's purpose and for deer that are out here 24/7, we want something that will keep up with it. He's done an excellent job of his fertility, biologically as well with his antler dirt. We recommend he inoculates it every year. The inoculate process is very simple. Put it on the seed, put it in the ground, and what that does is allow this plant to make its own nitrogen from the air. It pulls out atmospheric nitrogen, converts it to usable nitrogen. When we measure protein, we look at the nitrogen content. You know, what we're looking for is the highest protein available, highest nitrogen content available. So we never want this plant to struggle for any of its nutrient needs. Besides nitrogen, potash is a very important nutrient for soybeans. So we always want to make sure that we've got that in check, as well as the pH. pH, like they were talking about earlier, so important with soybeans. 6.5 would be our ideal target, but you know, in the upper 5s, you can work with that. Very, very important, because exclusion cages tell you 2 different things. One, how much the deer are using it, but also the capability of your soil minus the deer browse. So always do that. It's going to take a couple of frosts to kill these if they're not already done by then, but you've already done your job of banking that nutrient in that plant. A lot of the food plots, properties we visit, you can actually come in and you smell the deer, because they love to bed down in it, and it's great cover for fawns. You know, they don't have to leave their food source.
For smaller plots, can you use a broadcast spreader instead of a drill?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, anybody calls, number one choice, hey, do you have a drill? Yes, no, that's fine. Majority of people broadcast. That's what they do.
How many years would you generally plant beans before rotating to another crop?
We plant continuous soybeans. More worried about corn. When you're planting corn after corn after corn, you start building up insects in the soil, and you can get leaf disease. Never really concerned about soybean on soybean.
Brad shared some great information and tips so we all can improve our food plot techniques. After a few questions and discussion, we rode on to the next stop. In CJ and I are both very passionate turkey hunters. I mean, we really enjoy turkey hunting. CJ's taught me a lot about turkey hunting over time. And unfortunately, Trace and I used to live in South Carolina, and I got permission to hunt a property, and I didn't know it at the time, but CJ's father's land literally, was the fence line butted up against it. So the gobbler's always wanted to strut on that side of the fence. And to this day, he's accused me of trespassing. And I just want to say, as y'all is my witness on film, I never crossed that fence that I knew of. I think every turkey we killed this spring was over or by a Montana decoy, literally. I just really fell in love with those decoys. I'm not saying that as promotion, I mean, because we live in really rough country, and packing a bunch of full-size decoys around is just, Adam gets tired of doing it. So this way we can shove them in our vest and take off.
And Grant just pretty well summed up what I really like about our decoy products. They're portable, they're easy to use, they're realistic, and they're quiet. A lot of hard body decoys can make some noise. It's pretty simple. Comes with a strap, like an accordion. Doesn't play any music. We thought about putting a yelper in there though. Folds up that flat, and you can even fold the head down even flatter. So it's a very portable, and I actually leave the steak in mine like that. It's like a turkey popsicle, and you just grab the steak, pop it out of your vest, undo that, you're gone. And it's quiet. There's no clanking or clunking around with it. So, and the one thing with any decoy setup, there's like 3 questions I always ask myself. What phase of the breeding season are we in? Because that dictates which decoy pose I'm going to go with. What's the terrain like? Because that tells me where do I put it so the gobbler can see it. Because a decoy that can't be seen does you no good. And then once you've got those 2 questions asked, then you fine tune it based on where does it go from where I'm sitting. So I can make that shot. If the gobbler hangs up, if some other influence gets in the way and causes him to not come all the way to the decoys, I still want to be able to make that shot. So breeding, you can see the hen and the gobbler over there. That's our Miss Perfect, and that's Papa Strut. And you can see I've got her in a breeding, ready to breed pose, and he's strutting behind her. That's an obvious message to any gobbler coming in. There's a hen here that's ready to breed, and there's somebody else that's going to get to her before I can, unless I come in. That's a great setup early season when they're still sorting out dominance, when the breeding is at its peak. Later in the year, if the birds have been hunted, they've seen other decoys, they've listened to other hunters, I tend to scale back. And so what I've got here is one in a looker pose. She's just got her head up looking around. Turkeys are always doing that. And I've got the other one in a feeder pose. And what's really unique about our products, that's all the same hen. So you can put it in whatever pose you want. And also the head is moldable. We call it perfect pose technology. You can put the head, fine tune it. I always like to give a little angle to it. You can take all of those decoys, and Grant and Adam, probably Adam more than Grant, has put all of those at one time in their vest, and you can carry it along with your gun, your camera, whatever else you're using. So it's a system that you can carry throughout the season, and you can deploy it when you need it. And if you're in a setup where you don't need it, it stays in your vest. It's not in the way.
CJ Davis did a great job of explaining turkey decoy setups based on the stage of the breeding season. But getting a turkey in range doesn't seal the deal, so the boys from Winchester put on a heck of an exhibition of how effective the Longbeard XR is at various ranges.
But basically the secret is the shot lock technology, and what we've done is we've developed a resin that when we load the shell, that resin goes in first and the shot goes on top of it, and then it sets up like a cast on your arm around every individual pellet. And what that does is on setback force, when you pull the trigger, there's a lot of pressure on that lead shot. And because it's soft and malleable, lead will move. Well, when it does, it deforms. And a deformed lead pellet that's not perfectly round will not fly down range straight. It veers out, and that's what opens your pattern up and gives you flyers. By using this technology, we're able to keep every one of those pellets perfectly round, so you get a lot more pellets going straight down range and a lot more pellets on target. All right, the range is hot. So there you go. You can see at 20 yards, you've got a good solid 8 to 10 inch pattern. So you've got some leeway there. So that's somewhat of a fallacy that up close it's just too tight.
The next stop was a really cool demonstration showing the effectiveness of Winchester's new Deer Season XP.
I've got a 20% ballistics gelatin block in the middle of that 3D deer out there. And what I've done is about 1.5 inches from the face of that gel block is I've placed a thin plate. What you're gonna see, if I can hit the target, right, is a hole about like this size with Deer Season XP. And you'll see that it blows the backside of that out. So that bullet is upset rapidly in that first 1.5 inches, and it's hammering into that plate. So again, here's our plates. This was a 30-06 conventional soft point with a smaller hole. This is our 30-06 Deer Season XP with that massive expanded hole. And now this is our 243, which is nearly the same size as our 30-06. And then here's our gel block. So you can see we got about the same amount of penetration, 12 to 14 inches. Large, permanent wound channel, wound cavity. And you saw the plate. That's knockdown power, and you saw what it did to that deer.
So, I mean, look at that out of a 90 grain bullet. As we were finishing that discussion, one of the attendees showed me a cell phone, and it looked like a storm was just a few minutes away. So we started hustling and getting people in the trucks and rolling back up the mountain for lunch. The folks at Eagle Seed provided a great lunch. Everyone got a full belly, dried off, and we were all ready to get in the trucks, head back down the mountain, and continue our tour.
We're with a company called Redexum, and we've been manufacturing turf maintenance equipment since 1980. But a lot of the no-tills are $20,000 plus, so we're trying to find something in that mid-range that most everyone can afford. It's actually a twin disc, and one disc cuts, the other disc opens the slit, and the seed drops in, and the packing wheels in the rear cover the ground. And we're planting seed, not dropping seed, so your germination rate's good. You're not going to see a lot on top of the soil to where it's going to fit with any seed. So you can use blends, you can use even tiny seeds. On golf courses, they use it for Bermuda grass and bent grass, which are some of the smallest seeds in the world. So any of the seeds that you guys would want to use, we're not going to have any issues with.
It's so efficient, it's crazy. We don't have any numbers for you at this particular time, but we will. We're looking at full production in the spring. So anybody who would like one, we should be able to provide it.
I mean, Grant's put us in some of the toughest ground I've ever seen. We were drilling into creek beds, basically. and it worked. So if it works for Grant, it should work for anybody.
So no need for extra boxes, clover, things of that nature?
No, don't need a second box. It'll work with any seed mix. You just got to find your biggest seed and set the gap.
The real blessing of being able to, from the ground floor up, say, because Paul comes and says, all right, you guys plant food plots all the time, what do you want? You're on other properties, helping clients, whatever, you know. So I wanted a window where I could see exactly how much seed is in there without getting off the tractor. Because, you know, I don't mind Adam running around the tractor, but I don't want to stay up here and seed all the time. And then there's also an acre meter on here, you know, because everyone says, well, yeah, that field's 5 acres. And you get your rangefinder out and it's 2 acres or whatever, and they're planting way too much seed, so it's all crowded and not growing right. We've all done that, right? So I like an acre meter, which really helps me a lot. We've been through several versions of a prototype, and we're getting really close to something that Adam and I are very proud of. So we wanted to take time and show it to all the attendees and get their input on what we've created so far. And I don't know if y'all know this, but antler dirt, one of the main ingredients, or one of the ingredients, is trophy rock. That's where we get all those different minerals from. It's that high quality. And I want my plants taken up. If you're in Illinois, and heaven forbid you can't put out trophy rock, you can put down antler dirt, get the benefit of the same minerals, but not as concentrated, obviously, as this. So with that, Gene, would you tell us a little bit about that?
My name's Gene Price. I'm with Trophy Rock. I'm marketing director for Trophy Rock. We're an ancient inland ocean mineral deposit. Our deposit is the only one in this continent of North America. There's only been 3 that's discovered. You might see some other rocks on the market, you know, some smaller ones. Those come from Pakistan. But if you see trophy rock, that is ours. There's only one rock. It's mined here in North America. We are a mine. We don't make trophy rock. We're truly a mine. We have miners that go down every day that drill and blast, bring trophy rock up out of our mine. You know, and we crush it to size, package it. So we don't make those rocks. We have that question a lot. How do you make the rocks look so much like a rock and all different? We don't. That's Mother Nature. What separates trophy rock from other minerals on the market, most other minerals have 7 to 11 minerals. Ours is an all-natural salt, and we have about 65 different trace minerals instead of the 7 to 11. So we have a really broad spectrum of mineral in our rock, in trophy rock. I've had a lot of questions also about our 465. You see that Grant's been using a whole lot. If you follow his show, you've seen him he has been using 465 a tremendous amount this year and last year also. There's nothing different. It's just simply crushed up trophy rock. We didn't add anything to it. We don't add things to our product. It's just crushed up trophy rock. One, it came from demand of our customers, and two, we wanted another product. We wanted like an old school type mineralic product, and that's simply what that is. We're not trying to overload them with a tremendous amount of calcium, a tremendous amount of phosphorus. You know, it's a real even natural balance of what we already have to restore us back to a natural health, not an overabundance of any one mineral in there. It's a real good natural balance.
Gene Price did a great job of explaining all the benefits of trophy rock and gave some extra techniques of how it could be used on your property. When Gene finished up, John Keller of Summit Tree Stands gave a cool demonstration of how to use some of their stands and overall safety techniques.
The first and most significant is something that helps make the stand very undetectable, which makes you provides an unforgettable hunt for you, and that's the dead metal technology. So this is aircraft gauge aluminum, and you know, there's a patent to it, but primarily what we do is we fill it full of foam. The second is the Summit Lock welds, and it gives it the tightest weld without air bubbles and so on to add any weakness. And just simply pull the top up. A great use for a climber, for somebody who even has 140 ladder locations, is scouting. You know, to scout deer isn't like scouting a duck or another animal that you can scope or follow its patterns. You have to go in a stealth manner and basically set up a hunt as you would, and climber stands are a great way to do that.
After an extremely busy day, we broke for just a little bit and then headed up to Bass Pro for a great dinner. It's easy to tell when folks are having a good time and been outside all day because they tend to eat a hearty meal. And fortunately, there was plenty for all of us to have a great supper. 384, 384. 299 for a hoot stick. Give me 5, man, 5. After a good discussion, we gave away more than 50 great prizes. A dozen Duke coon traps. I better shuffle that again. And another redneck chair, 333. 333. The Summit Viper. How many people like those climbing stands? Ooh, look at that. 356. Everyone on the Growing Deer team really looks forward to the field day. We know great folks are coming that are like-minded, and they often teach us as much about techniques they've learned as we can share with them. Are you getting ready for deer season? Then this weekend, go to Bass Pro's annual Fall Classic. There'll be lots of hunting pros and free seminars going on, plus great sales on the latest hunting gear. I'll be at the Springfield, Missouri store, giving seminars and just hanging around, talking food plots and hunting strategies. Check out Bass Pro's website for more information. I hope you have a chance to get outside and learn something about creation this week, but most importantly, make sure you take time every day to learn about the Creator and listen to what He's saying to you. Thanks for watching GrowingDeer.tv.
All right, everybody up here, I'm gonna do a little flyby while you're shooting. Please don't shoot the drone. Just have a good time.